Hi everybody, it's Miss Christina. I'm here to read you another Bible/character storybook today. I'm so sorry that I didn't come on here last week. I had a really busy Sunday and it just totally slipped my mind. I'm so sorry. But I have another story to read to you today. And actually, I just found out yesterday that we have some friends over in Coleman, Florida who've been watching some of our videos. So hi, Coleman friends. I hope you guys enjoy this book today. So I've got Goodbye to Goodbyes, a true story about Jesus, Lazarus, and an empty tomb. It was written by Lauren Chandler and illustrated by Catalina Echeverry, which we've seen some of hers before. So I hope you guys enjoy this. Let's get started. In the little town of Bethany, there lived a man named Lazarus. He had two sisters, Mary and Martha. Martha loved to throw a party, and Mary loved to sit and listen. Lazarus loved his two sisters. They were all friends with a man named Jesus. But one day, Lazarus got sick. He went to bed sick, and he woke up sick. Martha and Mary looked after him, but Lazarus got worse and worse. "I know," said Martha. "I will tell our friend Jesus. He can help." Martha thought about all Jesus had done. He made blind people see. He made the deaf people hear. He made people who had been sick walk and jump and run and leap for joy. He could make Lazarus well. So she and Mary sent a message to Jesus. "Lord Jesus, our brother Lazarus, the friend that you love, is sick. Come quickly." It took 2 days for Martha's message to reach Jesus. And when Jesus heard that his friend was very, very sick, he did nothing. Did nothing? That's right. He didn't ride the first donkey to Bethany. He didn't run until his side hurt. For 2 whole days he stayed right where he was. Why? Jesus told his disciples, "Our friend Lazarus is very sick, but this illness won't end with Lazarus being dead. We won't have to say goodbye forever. I have a plan." Whew! Jesus had a plan. But what was it? Then at last, Jesus and his disciples headed to Bethany. "Our friend Lazarus has fallen asleep," Jesus announced, "but I'm on my way to wake him up." The disciples looked at each other. Did they hear him right? Lazarus was sleeping? Couldn't Mary and Martha wake him up? Jesus knew their questions, and he looked at them and said, "Lazarus has died." Dead? How could this be? Didn't Jesus say that Lazarus would not die? Didn't he say they wouldn't have to say goodbye forever? What happened to his plan? Every step to Bethany felt heavier and heavier. Their hearts sank deeper and deeper. They were sad. Their friend had died, and they didn't even get to say goodbye. 4 days after Lazarus had died, Jesus and his disciples finally arrived. Martha came running to meet them. Her face was sad and her eyes were red. "Lord," she gasped, "if only you had been here! Lazarus would not have died. But I know nothing is impossible with you, even after someone's died, and we've said our forever goodbyes." "You're right, Martha," Jesus said. "There is a day coming when we will say goodbye to saying goodbyes forever. Do you believe that?" Martha nodded. "Yes, I believe in you, Jesus. I know you are the Son of God, and I know you always do what you promise. You will end all our goodbyes forever." Martha went and fetched Mary. Mary was so sad. The brother that she loved had gone. She would never hug him again. She would never eat with him again. She would never see his face again. Jesus saw her tears, and then it happened. His heart broke. He knew what he was about to do. He knew Lazarus's goodbye wasn't forever, but his heart broke for his friends. When they reached Lazarus's tomb, Jesus cried too. They cried and cried and cried, because they had to say a forever goodbye. But then Jesus stopped crying and said, "Take away the stone." Martha told him there might be a horrible smell. Jesus said, "You need to believe me." Then he yelled like a lion's mighty roar, "Lazarus, come out!" And he did. Jesus kept his word. Lazarus being sick didn't end with him being dead. It ended with him alive, even after he died, and they'd had to say goodbye. Mary, Martha, Lazarus, and Jesus were together again. Martha threw a party, and Mary laughed and listened, and Lazarus was glad to be alive. But then the time came for Jesus to say goodbye. He hugged the friends that he loved and said, "Goodbye for now, but not forever." Jesus had to go to Jerusalem, where he would be the one to say goodbye and die. And then, like Lazarus, walk out of the tomb alive. And after that, Jesus said goodbye again, because he was going back to heaven. It was sad for Jesus' friends to say goodbye, but they would see him again in the land that lay after their dying, in the land where there were no more goodbyes, not ever. We all have to say goodbye sometimes. Some of them are short goodbyes, some are long. Sometimes a friend of Jesus who we love gets sick and we're sad. Sometimes, because they die, we have to say goodbye and it feels like a forever goodbye. Jesus knows it is sad to say goodbye, so Jesus came to end goodbyes. And one day, Jesus and all his friends will say goodbye to goodbyes forever. Let me read this to you. It says, "Tales that tell the truth." How do we know that about the goodbye to goodbyes? The curious and spectacular story of Lazarus, his sisters, and their friend Jesus can be found in John's Gospel, chapter 11, verses 1 through 44. It's the last of the 7 miracles that John talks about Jesus' life. The interaction between Jesus and his friends in this true story is especially dear to our family. We are very acquainted with illness and the possibility of saying goodbye for what may feel like forever. We have asked Jesus why in the midst of our pain. We have questioned his methods, but have been comforted by his heart. He weeps with those who weep. He rejoices with those who rejoice. He is the God who is with us in our sorrow and our joy. Although our family story hasn't ended in goodbye, it will one day, but it won't be forever. For those who have believed Jesus to be their only hope, physical death will mean immediate presence with him in heaven. You can find that in Philippians chapter 1. For those who are left behind, there is still hope. Hope in the life to come, and hope that Jesus will be with us always and to the end of the age. I hope you enjoyed this book. I love this book. I especially like how the story of Lazarus points to Jesus. So there's a lot of things about death and sadness, and how for those of us who love Jesus, when we die, we will see our other loved ones in heaven who love Jesus. But also, the story of Lazarus really points to Jesus and how Jesus can overcome death. And he did overcome death. After he died on the cross, he rose again on the third day. And so that is this is a good example of Jesus's life and death and resurrection. But I did want to say that for those of you who have lost someone that you love, or someone you know that you love is sick and they might be dying, that we can find comfort in knowing that if they love Jesus and you love Jesus, that you will see them again someday. My freshman year in college, my great-grandmother died. Her name was Dorothea, but I called her Mum. And she passed away my freshman year in college, and she was very special to me because at the time, I thought that she was the only person that knew me, that still loved me for who I was. And I know that's not true, but at the time, that's what I thought. So she was very special to me, and she passed away, but I knew that I would see her again someday because she did love Jesus. And she always had this thing where she would never say goodbye. She always said, "So long." And that was her way of not saying goodbyes, because she never thought goodbye was goodbye. And so I will see her again in heaven someday. And you, if you love Jesus, you will see those people that love Jesus too in heaven someday. And we can take comfort in that, even while we're here and missing them. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this book, and I will be back next Sunday with another book to read to you. If you have any suggestions or any books that you would like for me to read, you can comment below, or you can send me a message, and I'll see if I can find them and read them for you guys. Otherwise, I'll pick one myself. I hope you have a great week. Bye.